have a lot of respect for missionaries. I am grateful for all of those that we support that are there across the world that are doing that kind of thing, that are day in, day out, living out the call of God wherever they might be. And it's an encouragement to us to do the same thing here.
It's a wonderful, wonderful time in the life of this church to share in this preparation and in this sharing of the gospel that's going all over Europe.
It's not something that only a few and select are called out to do, but that all of us are called to do. It's all about giving our lives up. It's not just the money that's given, but it's pouring into God's life, who we are. It's pouring into Him the resources that are already His, but that He's calling us to do all over the world.
We have got to be there because they are the countries that are ultimately going to set the pace for the entire world.
It's a change of mindset is what it is. It's a change from what I can get out of church to what we can not provide others with goods and services, but how we can call them into the life of God.
Our monies and our support and our visits are making a difference. Our young people going to Germany are reaching to German young people, and that's probably the best way to reach them. And if they get to know the Lord, they will help change their own country.
These people live all across the world and they do crazy things that their lives are so much different than ours, but they serve the same God and they're part of the same mission that we are.
If you were to walk down the street and approach someone and say, are you interested in a Bible study, or would you like to get together and read English together from the Bible? I would say a high percent would say, no, thank you, I'm not interested.
This is a German work. This is not an American work transplanted to Germany. Christianity, for a lot of people, is something that hasn't worked. They say this belongs in the past.
Back in the 19th century, the public school system in France was established in order to de-Christianize the country.
In Europe, it's a gradual process, and getting to know someone and developing a relationship, it takes a long time.
It just takes time for them to build trust, and I think especially with us as Americans, they're not quite sure what to do with us.
Getting people to trust us as teachers of God's Word. Now that is a hard experience.
They tend to be reserved, especially in spiritual things, not someone who's likely to share, but to see them come out of that and start sharing and start being a part of the work in that sense of teaching and sharing their thoughts and where they are is a tremendous thing.
The church environment is so important because it encourages change, but it also gives you a safe place.
The important thing is you got to meet these people, get to know them, and from there you'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Build relationships.
Just build the relationships, build the trust, and then you probably will be surprised what happens once you've got that trust built.
France is so secularized, religious divisions don't mean very much because people aren't religious. And so in our young people's groups, we have Muslims, Jewish families, Catholic families, a few Protestants, and then majority of our children come from completely unreligious families. And what unites these kids is their discovery of the gospel, their discovery of Jesus. It is something amazing to watch.
They get an introduction into a different kind of life because this is something, we have told the kids, we tell them, be prepared because these kids just don't believe in God. 80% of them won't. You've got to be willing to engage that and not be afraid to have really difficult questions asked. But we have discovered that the questions and answers are not the big thing. It's the way the kids are with each other and with the Germans. We have heard some of the kids say, there's something different. This is not in like anything I've ever met.
We are there as Christians, not just to evangelize, but to serve the community. Everybody in the church is involved in some way in serving the people of the community. Our church is a reflection of the community.
We see being a success in the sense of getting our name out, getting people acquainted with who we are, letting them have an opportunity to come into our building, which for many that's a huge hurdle, and having fun with them and showing them that Christians can have fun and enjoy being together.
Things can be different. If they grow up with not knowing anything else, they don't want anything else, but we can, that is one thing we want to do, is to let them know there can be change, it can be different.
So much of the work that we do is much more on a level of mentoring or just one-on-one, being with people, talking to them, helping them understand God in a different way, but it happens so much more in depth on a personal level.
A cappella music, in my opinion, is one of the greatest mediums to communicate content. It's the words that are important in a cappella music. And we have used that chorus to be a first-time, neutral, non-threatening contact of people in the community with the church. Everyone who's ever listened to our concert or seen our plays has told us the message comes through. And they usually say that with tears in their eyes.
It's very, very encouraging because we've seen so much inward growth, but we've had our challenges. We've had our really low times too. We have had times where we think, oh, why are we still here? We don't see anything working, but the seed has been planted and it's growing. And so right now we're seeing the growth.
To watch them walk through that with their faith has been very exciting.
You know, this is an opportunity that we've got to take advantage of, but we can't. And we've got to have people who can really invest in their lives. It's always interesting to see how God is using people.
This is not a fast process. It took us 6 or 7 years to gain the trust of the community, of hard work.
This is not a method, this is just God's at work.
It's good when the church focuses on a mission point, a mission site, and decides this is where we need to be.
If you have a servant's heart, you can be useful.
We're very thankful that Littleton has stuck through it, because I think that is, from my experience, does not happen that often.
We need to have in our heart a desire for unity as well as a desire for evangelism. I think the search for unity among all believers and the search to bring people to Jesus are just two parts of the same mission.
Having that feeling Littleton is behind this work is such a positive thing when you face the other side so often, and having people say, yes, there is a need, there still is a need in Europe for missionaries to be there, for people to be there bringing this message and a new idea of that we bring with us within this restoration movement, the idea of going back to the Word and looking at it and letting God change us as we do that.